Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining in to NPNTv with Vernita Williams on
Turn the volume up.
SmartBlackWomanTV. We're now going to start our part two, which we have spoken about. And we have Charles in the house. Charles is here to tell part two of his story. Our story today, we're beginning, is going to be about Oh, I drew a blank. Sorry about that. Mental health and drug addiction. That is part of our part two today. So thank you so much for joining in. Hopefully everyone had a great evening. We have Charles here, and Charles is here to tell his story, starting with part two. Charles?
Getting the camera going, y'all. Just give me 1 second here. The volume, it was a little low. Wanted to make sure I can hear everybody. 1 second, 1 second. There we go. Got a new phone, so I had to figure it out.
Oh.
What's up? What's up?
All right. Hey, Charles, how you doing?
I'm good.
How was your day today?
It was another day. It was a good day. I'm breathing. I'm alive and going.
What was the weather like in St. Louis?
We had great weather today. It was a good weather. Same routine, did my daily workout, got some work in, and still going strong here, ready to spread some good energy and positive energy and a good word to everybody,
Right. Okay. Let's start with part two, as we were speaking about. We basically got into where you were going through your recovery and the decision that you made that you no longer want to indulge in drugs. You clean yourself up. It's been 2 years now. You're far along, past your 2 years, about 2.5 years now. Congratulations. And
Thank you.
And of course, a lot that you have been going through. So you have overcome. And tell us how you came to this. What was the start of it all? Doing this life, being addicted to drugs.
Well, I guess we can talk. I think where we left off was we were talking about my journey to recovery.
Right.
And my journey to recovery was here in St. Louis. I left Florida, Miami, Florida, when back in, what was that, 2019? At the end of 2019 in November 27th. I won't ever forget that date. And it was a few days after my birthday, November 22nd. And I actually rode a Greyhound bus to St. Louis. My addiction to opiates had gotten really bad and out of control until you were like, okay, that's enough. And you sent me back home, and which home is here, St. Louis, Missouri. And that journey on the bus, I mean, it was a journey. That was my first time on the Greyhound bus, for starters. And I think I saw a little bit of everything on there, but I think that Greyhound bus was enough experience to want to be able to get my life together and never want to go back or look back at that point, But I used that time to keep striving for harder and striving for greatness. If you don't want to go back there, then what do you have to do to make sure you don't end up in that situation? But I came to St. Louis. I enrolled into the Salvation Army Adult Rehabilitation Center down off of Vandervanter in St. Louis. I'm not sure if anyone heard. If you're from St. Louis, you probably know about that, but about Vandervanter anyway, at least. But I was there in their program. I enrolled in the program. First, I went cold turkey, and I went through my withdrawals for about a week on my grandmother's floor. And I knew at that point, okay, once you get through this, ain't no going back. Because when I tell you the withdrawal symptoms are horrible when you're trying to kick opiates. It can be for a prescription drug or an illicit drug. It doesn't matter. So going through that process, I knew I didn't want to go back. But after I went through my withdrawal process, I then enrolled into the adult rehabilitation center down at the Salvation Army. And when I tell you, I felt like, okay, what is the purpose of this? I felt like there were other people that were using drugs in the facility and people doing whatever the hell they wanted, you know, and I just felt like, okay, this is kind of counterproductive, you know, and I always kept in my mind that one day I'm going to offer a program for others that will be healthy, you know, a healthy environment for people to want to be able to get their lives together, a positive motivation in others' lives. So, but that's another story. Put that to the side. Remember I said that. But I was there for every bit of 2 weeks until they were like, okay, your mouth is too smart. It's time for you to go. And I'm like, what do you mean? Wait, what do you mean? And I knew, like, once I had kicked the habit, I was on my way to recovery and I was getting my right mind back, you know, and I'm like, wait a minute, like, you can't talk to me like that. What are you saying? You know, so things were changing rapidly. And like I said, they put me out at 9 o'clock at night and I'm in St. Louis, fresh in St. Louis, hadn't been in St. Louis for a few years. And
the temperature, it was cold in St. Louis that night.
Oh, it was 1 degree that night. I will not forget. And I didn't even have a coat. They didn't even give me a coat, my own coat to put on, you know. And I remember I walked 5 miles, at least 5 miles to my grandmother's house. And that walk, when I tell you that walk, that cold walk, I knew that was enough right there. That solidified everything for me. And it told me that, hey, all right, the party is over. It's time to buckle down, and you deserve better. You don't deserve to, number one, be walking on the street late at night, strange neighborhood. You don't even know anything about St. Louis anymore. And I just knew that I didn't want to go back there to that place.
Yes, I understand that. So, now that you through a portion of your recovery, and that was getting over the turnover from the drugs, the addiction of the drugs. Mm-hmm. And you were able to carry yourself. Mm-hmm. And once you got into space, how did you feel? Because you went through something that you had been so hard on your body that you have now overcome that. Now, of course, you probably had shivering. I don't know. You know, I've never did any drugs to the point where I would understand. I'm just going by TV. I'm just going by TV. And so what I would think of it. So now you have to fully recover by getting back, you know, the necessary things that you needed, and being independent at that point to get it independently, because you're an adult and you weren't there depending on someone to take care of you, but yet now it's time that you had to take on your own life from that point. And you had to, I guess, look reality in the face, because now you have to move forward. How was that transition for you?
I was lost for sure. I definitely felt lost. I'd never done it. My family was not prone to addiction. No one had known exactly how it felt like. None of my friends, they couldn't tell me what to do or what not to do. And I was kind of like a fish out of water at that point. And I at that time, if I go back now, I would have seek. I would have went straight to God, but I didn't know any better. You know, I didn't know. But I quickly got in a relationship, which is probably one of my. I'm not gonna say I regret it, but I chose to seek support in a relationship, and it was not the right thing to do because number one, I still needed to work on myself. I still needed to heal, and I totally ignored that, and so did my partner because they didn't know anything about addiction or anything. At least I didn't think they did. But my addiction or my recovery went ignored. I ignored it for years after that.
Okay, and that's without you ignore.
That's correct. That's correct.
Your body was going through the continuous withdrawals.
That's right. And I would say my withdrawals didn't stop until about maybe a month or a month and a half.
After
2 months afterwards. Yep. And those withdrawals that when I tell you that the opioid withdrawal symptoms, I mean, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy, you know? So getting through that, I know that I'm capable to get through anything, you know?
And that was a hard process because many people are under medical care and going through withdrawals. But the way you did, you could have caused yourself great harm. You know,
right.
And thank God you did make it to the other side. And because you have a purpose. You know, you have a purpose to be on earth. And I continue to thank God every day because of your recovery and where you are right now. As you are looking like the sun that I knew I had. And when I say the sun that I knew I had, that walked around me, he was once a shadow, but he's a sun now. S-U-N, son. I'm proud of where you are, Tom. There's a lot in your journey that I know I have very deep feelings as a parent to know today that there is a God, because so many people speak on behalf of the addiction and not able to overcome those addictions. So right now, I commend you. And as I always will and always have walk alongside, your story is very deep. Your journey that you've gone through is very deep. I want people to understand that we all make a choice that may be detrimental to us, our health, our well-being, and who we are. But understand that everything in life can be temporary. It depends on how you carry it along with you. So, Charles, tell us a little bit more about, as you did overcome the addiction, now at this point you have gotten in a relationship and you found someone to make you help to replace that addiction.
Right.
And give you more of something else that is just as addictive, which is relationships. So in this relationship, you intended to carry your life into. Tell us about that journey and how it started, because in every relationship, people understand that it starts with the grass being so much green. So much joy, so much happiness played in your feelings at the time you meet someone. And just tell us how you transition from drugs into love. And tell us how that love that you were looking to capture played into your journey and how you carried on in life and how you began your independence again.
Okay, well, for starters, I think it's a horrible idea to replace an addiction with anything. You kind of want to work on eliminating your addiction and not necessarily replacing it, because an addiction is not a healthy thing. Anything in excess is bad for you, right? So you don't want to replace anything and do anything too much. But when I replaced my addiction with the relationship, as you can imagine, it was an addictive relationship, whether it was a great relationship or it was a bad one. It was when you're on opiates, you need it in order to function. And by me replacing that with a person, I felt like I needed my relationship in order to do anything. I really hadn't experienced being clean for about 3 years, and that's a long time as an adult. You kind of feel like, dang, what happened? Like, the dating pool is different. You go to the grocery store is different. Spending money is different. I feel like everything was different,
Mm-hmm.
So I was like kind of lost, but I relied on my relationship to direct me and guide me because I trusted that person,
Mm-hmm.
And I think everything happens for a reason. So I try not to say, oh, it was a mistake, or I regret it, because I think everything is meant to happen, and whatever's meant to happen is going to happen. And it happens for a reason, as long as the outcome is either you're learning from it or you're coming out ahead in some kind of way, a positive way. But at the beginning of that relationship, I can say that everything was cool. I would call home back down to Florida and tell you how I couldn't wait for you to meet him, and over time, it just didn't feel right because we were together for about 2 years, a little bit over 2 years, or almost 2 years, and you still didn't meet him. And I'm just like, okay, that's strange. I really never experienced anything like that. Everybody loves my mom, and if my mama don't like you, then what's going on, But at that time, it was normal. It was still a normal relationship. I had no reason to question anything. And of course, you kind of try to take time out to get to know what your partner likes, what your partner don't like, and get to know their friends so you can fit in and make everybody feel comfortable. So that's up until that point of me trying to fit in to make my partner feel comfortable and just be the likable person that I am. That's when everything was good up until that point right there.
Mm-hmm. So at that point, now you're reaching, I guess, trust issues at that point.
And I'm sorry, the question again. I'm sorry, I just got a message at the same time. It threw me off. Like, what? Ask that question, please.
So let's just talk about, getting in relationships at that point where you're now in a relationship and you have battled the drug addiction, and now you're going through mental issues. And as I spoke before, and coming into the show today, the show is about mental illness and how mental illness plays a part in your life and your decision making. So can you kind of touch a little bit on that and how I'm not sure if you recognized it at that time, but if you did, if you can tell us a little bit about that.
Okay. I didn't pay much attention, just like everyone else, to mental illness and getting therapy for what I went through, and I kind of ignored it. Of course, I would hear it every once in a while. Oh, you should get a therapist, or you should get a sponsor going through your situation. And I felt like as long as I can get up, go to work, make money, do the normal things that adults do, I thought that I would be fine, And I didn't really acknowledge the fact that there were some issues that I may have needed to deal with from my childhood or my past. And also my partner needed to deal with some things as well, you know? And with me, I was always a good person to come talk to. My friends would always come. I was that go-to guy to come in, tell me whatever, and trust the fact that it wouldn't go outside of that conversation, you know? And so I was like, okay, I guess I'm good at talking to people, and I didn't think much of it, and until things kind of went left, and I started discovering that my partner had a lot of issues, childhood issues, a lot of trauma from violence, from being sexually abused, and plethora of things, you know, multiple things that I took very seriously. And by me being in a place of, I needed to be healing, but I wasn't. So I wasn't able to really help him with what he was dealing with on his own, you know? And it put a lot of strain on the relationship because I didn't know how to work through it, you know? And all I could do is apologize for whatever I did wrong and try to make it right on my part. But that opened the door to manipulation and allowing someone to manipulate me and making myself vulnerable to, I guess, a narcissist, basically. And
so which is very difficult when you are exposed to that at a time when you're looking to heal, you know, and in your process of looking for love at the same time. So you went through a mental breakdown from that standpoint of all the distrust and things that, you know, in your relationship where you were looking for something positive and it turned on you. So at this time, this connection, because you wanted it, you gave up a lot, you know, in the process, I guess, and your choices that you made, you know, along the way. Tell me a little bit about how we know that you have gone through that. You went through a relationship and everything, and now you're realizing that you have to step out of a relationship, you know, and tell us a little bit about what took place there as you start to battle more the mental breakdown that you had during that time.
Yeah, that was the hardest thing I've ever been through in my life, you know. I know when I love someone, I love deeply. I feel like I was a love child. I was brought into the world based on love solely. And my mother and father were in love with one another at one point when I was conceived. And so I knew nothing but love, and a healthy love. I knew how to show love. I knew how to get love. So when you know love, and you're with someone that doesn't necessarily know love because they may not have received it in the right way, it can be very hard. Like you said, I was trying to find myself, and I had no time to try to show someone else how to love, you know. But I tried anyway because I was in love. But throughout that process, I started realizing that, okay, things aren't adding up, you know. 1 + 1 = 2. It don't equal 3, you know. So when someone tells you something that doesn't make sense, I'm an intelligent guy, and I'm not the smartest guy, but I'm intelligent enough to know, like, nah, that doesn't seem right. And I think when you start noticing red flags, that's when it's time to put your foot down, and take a step back if you do find yourself in a situation like that. But I found myself in a relationship where we were having multiple fights. We were on fight number 5, and they were saying, I won't do it anymore. Like, after fight number 5, there's nothing you can tell me about not doing it anymore. I don't believe you, So I went through the physical abuse. I won't get into detail, but it was very physical and violent. I also received physical abuse from my partner's friends, best friends. I received mental abuse from my partner. They would tell me things like, I'm the only one that's in your corner. I'm the only one that's going to help you. You don't have nobody else out here. Just the typical things that a narcissist would say. They would make you believe that you don't have anyone but them, when that wasn't the case, as they learned. So I went from the physical abuse, I went from the mental abuse, and spiritually, I felt like there was nothing left. Even though I tried to pray to God, I tried to pray with my partner, I tried everything. But I just didn't understand why it wouldn't catch. Like, I had never prayed with any of my partners in my past relationships. So I'm like, okay, Charles, you're growing, you're doing better, bigger and better things. Someone that's willing to care about me enough to pray with me. Hey, if you praying with me, I trust you. You're a good person, And when that didn't catch, I just didn't understand it until I started to realize that maybe they aren't a child of God. Maybe they don't really truly believe in God. And I started discovering different things, dealing with voodoo and witches, and they would come to the house and visit us because we were living together. And the roommate was even a witch. And I was like, okay, where am I? And I was lost, I'm like, what do I do? And I didn't even know how deep I was into it. And even though that wasn't anything that I was practicing, I was still deeply involved, because it was so serious to the point where they were like, okay, don't use that soap when you wash your hands, use this soap. And my brush would come up missing, and with your hair follicles and everything, just weird things. And I'm just like, okay. And I started encountering just a series of bad luck. I lost my job. I lost my car. I lost my friends. I lost everything in about a 2-month span. So I lost everything, and I didn't have anyone to run to and talk to about it either, So it was tough. I mean, of course, I would call you. You're down in Florida, and be like, Mom, guess what I'm dealing with, And even though it's like, yeah, you need to get out of that situation, it's easier said than done, I think a couple of people sent us some message. Did you see it? Because I want to make sure I read the messages as we go along. I want to be interactive.
Can you see the messages? I don't see.
Okay, let's see. Oh, okay. Sorry. Never mind.
You're supposed to read.
Sorry. But
okay. So you have to hit mute when I'm speaking. When I'm speaking, you hit mute.
Okay. But yes. So back on this journey to just a healthy mind, healthy living, focused on God being my focus, my provider, my rock, my foundation for everything, and that's the way I've always lived my life. But it's just kind of like getting back to the basics, the basic things that I was raised with, and instead of kind of like focusing on that, what I went through. And but yes, as time went along, I would get in that relationship. It was a tough one because my grandmother, I'm really close with my grandmother, and I get a lot of advice from her, and she loved my relationship, I guess, in a sense. And so I would come to her and ask her a lot of different questions and get her advice on things. And until it was like, okay, Big Ma, I don't think you know what you're talking about. You're gonna have to take the back seat on this one. Until I discovered, well, actually, a few people began coming to me, or just random people would message me and ask me if I've seen certain pictures or seen certain videos that were on Twitter, and I'm like, no, I haven't seen anything weird on Twitter. Why do you ask? And they would just leave it at that. And I'm like, that's weird. Why are people just asking me randomly? Even strangers online would ask me if I've seen a video, and if it's me, they were wondering if it was me. And I'm like, well, no, I haven't made any videos, and even though it's hard to believe right now that I didn't like to show my face on camera or take pictures or do videos or anything, I wouldn't take. I was ashamed of myself. I didn't have much confidence in how I looked. Now, when I say that, people look at me like, what? But it was true. I didn't have much confidence within myself. And it's because I was lost, But, and if whoever don't have a God in their life, a God, and I'm not saying my God is the God that everyone needs, but if you don't have a God in your life, then you're going to be lost. That's just point blank, period, But about the pictures, back to the pictures, I started trying to do some discovery. and I'm like, they like to call me the FBI because I will go deep down. I will look into every crevice. I will search everything until I find out what I'm looking for. I'm good. Okay. And up until recently, I was finally able to find different pictures of myself naked. And someone even told me that there were videos of me on Twitter. And I'm like, well, I go on so-and-so's page and I don't see anything on Twitter. And I found that Twitter has settings, and also Facebook does as well, where someone can make you, like, let's say, for example, your husband posts a picture, and you're like, you better post my picture of me and be proud of me. I want to make sure you post a picture of me and let people know that you're not single, And a person can post a picture and set it to where no one else can see that picture except for you. So and lead you to believe that, okay, everybody sees that we're in a relationship, you're taken, you wrote this heartfelt letter or post saying how much you love me and I'm the only one for you. And no one was able to see it except for me. So, but I didn't realize that. I knew it, and I would say something about it, but I would just get lies, And until I created a new page and I saw everything that was on there, and to find out that person was in a relationship with someone else for 2 years, which it broke me down. It really did. It broke me down to learn that a person would be willing to exploit someone that they claim to love, um, and and share things that I thought that I consider personal in my life, to the world, just have it available for the world. I was told that there were OnlyFans videos, so not only was I exploited, they made money off of it. And now doing my research on things like that, that's actually human trafficking. Whenever someone exploits you for their own personal gain, either by force, by manipulation, by lying, that's still considered human trafficking. And I never thought in a million years that I'd be a victim of human trafficking, but it definitely made me feel powerless, and I had no one to run to at that point but God. So I know that I was supposed to go through this, because God will put you in a position where you have no one to run to but Him. And that's where I am today, standing strong in it and not afraid to admit what I've been through, and proud of what I went through. And I know that one day I'll be able to empower someone else and give them the courage to speak out, so that things like this can stop in our community.
Yes. So you went through a whirlwind
to say the least. To say the least.
And thankfully, where you are today, to share with others, to get them to understand. It is, when you're looking for love, you have to be very careful, and you have to be selfish. You have to be selfish enough to want exactly someone just like you, a real friend. And sex trafficking is out there. Mental illness is out there. Drug addictions are out there. All of these different things that you go on through in life, it can be temporary for your life. And be strong. A lot of people don't have others to speak with. And that's why we're here, to speak amongst everyone, to help them to understand that when you're going through troubles, there are people that you can speak with that has gone through it and gotten to where they want to be in life, to be comfortable again, and to be careful moving forward, and know that God is love and love is God. And if you don't see that in a relationship, if you don't see it in the troubles that you're going through, try to reach it. You need someone to speak to. You're going through troubles. You've had troubled life, drug abuse, sexual abuse, whatever you've gone through, just anger, just dislike and jealousy. So many of those things still bring you back to a bad addiction. So we're trying to eliminate addictions and bring love to everyone, to show care and know that God is our healer. He holds us all up. And so we have to reach to Him. Continue to pray for everyone. Everyone's going through something. You have your heart that you can let all the love sink through. There shouldn't be any voids of feeling like you're jealous of someone, hating, want to abuse someone, want to help to harm them. Now is the time we all come together to try to see life in a better light, so that so many others can move forward. So tonight, I bring to you Smart Black Woman TV, helping to uplift all. Everyone, please take time to share our video. We want to show you that we have no shame in the lives that we go through. There's nothing wrong with choices that we make that are wrong, but try to make them right. So, in order to live a good life, love your family members, love your children, love your friends. When your friends are going through problems, help them to come back to that normalcy that you were introduced to when you first met them. So I just say to everyone, thank you so much for joining us today on part 2 of our show, Smart Black Woman TV on NPNTv. Charles, thank you so much for your story. If there's something you would like to add, because I know you're also an advocate of those ones who have had drug abuse, who have had mental illness, who have had downfalls in their lives, and now they need someone to speak to and overturn their lives for support. Please help to share that and tell everyone where they can speak with you or connect with you.
Oh, there we go. All right. Yes. I am working with a few partners. I'll mention a couple just to give you guys an idea. A lot of exciting things we're working on. And I'm working with Homeland Security. I'm working with FEMA. We're coming up with a lot of great projects and programs to help others that may be in similar situations, whether it's addiction, human trafficking, anything. So I'll have whatever I can to help anyone. I won't turn anyone away. It doesn't matter what your situation is. I'm always here to spread love, give as much love to everyone as possible. No matter what you go through in life, you always have to keep moving forward and just focus on the love in it. I think the love is what saved me through everything. Going through what I went through, it can make one feel angry. It can make anyone feel angry and mad and wanting to make the other person feel what they felt, and that's not how love works, and that's not how God works either. God has been showing me love, so I have nothing but love to give out in return to others. So, and God has positioned me and put me in a place to be able to help other people. So I choose to do nothing but to help and love other people. You can reach me on Facebook, Charles Cummings Jr., Instagram, Charles Cummings, TikTok, Charles Cummings, whatever social media platform you'd like. Just inbox me, give me a quick message, and I may not read it immediately or right away, but I promise you that I will not overlook you. And I want everyone to try to stay focused on themselves, mental health. Keep that going. I know it's a mental health month, but it doesn't last for 1 month. Mental health is every day, 365 days of the year. So you got to keep going, keep pressing forward, and try to keep your God first.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us on Black Woman TV. Again, we'll see you soon. Bye. Into one of the moments where when I'm talking to him on the phone sometimes